Got me on camera?
Get back!
Now,
Get back!
Liberal. Get back! Dude, this is so funny. Yo, I swear to God, dude. Dude, I think we need to oppress rich white folk living in the suburbs a little bit. Like, they need like a little bit of bullying and a little bit of oppression. Like, they're so bored. They need something in their lives, dude. I'm serious. Like, you don't do this when you're like literally suffering and you have like medical fucking bills to pay and all this other shit. Like, you do this when you're bored, okay? Just like a little bit of government mandated oppression so that they can like actually cry about something that's legitimate for once. It could be healthy. I'm just saying. Had the deputy not stepped in, this is like the personification of a liberal soy father. What the fuck was he going to do to you? Like, are you crazy? What do you think this guy was going to do?
Let's get this done.
Like, he's got his fucking iPhone charger. He's got his Anchor iPhone charger in his fucking, just bursting out of the seams of his jeans that he tucked his t-shirt into. Like, what's this guy going to do? He was going to say CRT related things. We needed to stop him. Get back. I don't want to hear your liberal propaganda.
You got me. You got me.
Whoa.
You got me on camera?
Get back!
Now,
Get back!
Liberals are insane.
Of course, soy father is not the weakest person in the room, because the weakest person in the room is the person who's afraid of soy father.
Go sit down, young man. It'll be
Back
okay.
the blue. Back the blue.
Dylan, stay. Can you go sit down, young man? It'll be okay. It'll be okay. Oh my God.
Back the blue. Beat his ass. Beat that kid's ass. Why the fuck do we pay you? They're threatening me with their existence.
So guys, this whole meeting is being live streamed. I want to talk about this for a second though. I want to talk about why my son might be worried about these gentlemen filming me. You know why? Because as Thea mentioned in her speech, last time we saw some incredibly brave young students. These are
fucking Twitter videos oppressing me, brother. What the fuck?
minors come up here and speak to us about their experience. And you know what happened when they went home? Some of the people sitting right over here jumped on the internet and posted their pictures and their names and links to their social media and invited people from all over the country to.
By the way, he's describing why his son was like, you know, doing like blocking the footage, because like conservatives literally will just go to the extent of like, oh, you're gonna talk about critical race theory at this parent teachers conference? Yeah, I'm gonna dox you. Like, I'm gonna send your information to every fucking right-wing militia out there.
Can we see their pictures?
If you want
I
to
want
talk
proof.
line,
Proof.
there's a process.
Proof.
And you should be ashamed of yourself.
Excuse me?
You should be ashamed of yourself.
They're clapping. Stop your clapping for him. It's the critical race theory. That's the reason why they're clapping for him. This man accused me of vile things. He became enraged when asked for proof. The man grabbed my arm, leaving it red and swollen. Somehow police removed me from the room and did not remove the young man or his father who harassed me.
You can get in line and speak it.
You should be ashamed of yourself. Little black child.
Oh my God, dude. This is so funny.
This is harassment. You posted things online.
Your wife will listen to me, but if somebody puts it on, I'm gonna lay it on who your wife will do that, I imagine.
Critical race theory make these cops Critical race theory, stop me from interrupting this meeting. Dude, this is awesome, dude. This is actually fucking hilarious, dude. Name literally one time a conservative doxed someone. You know I'm a fucking left, like, you know I'm a leftist content creator, right? Are you fucking brain dead?
I've met her before. She's a tough girl.
And it's not just me that's been doxxed a million times. There's motherfuckers in the chat right now that can tell you that they've been previously sub for 10 months as bait. Oh, good one.
Let us diffuse it, and then everyone will be on the So thank you for staying back. I appreciate it.
You can't handle the truth. That's what's wrong with you. That's what's wrong with you. You're a troublemaker. And when someone comes and points it out, you can't handle it. So you gotta cry.
Yeah, I wonder why they kicked her out, dude. I guess maybe because she forgot that it's top of the hour and it's time for a 60-second ad break or something. And I just like to say that and sit back and watch the chat lose its fucking collective mind, dude. Top of the hour every hour. It's time for the first ad break of the day, boys. I do find pleasure in this. I really do. This really just, it gives me so much joy. And if you'd like to no longer see the ads, if you want an ad-free broadcasting experience, well, then all you need to do is subscribe. You can subscribe for $5, or you can subscribe for free with a Twitch Prime, that is. Okay? Your Amazon Primes are just free, waiting for you to be used on a channel. Or you can use an ad block or a VPN. Here's the ad break now.
Be a man. Grab on.
So here you go, guys. These people are so
Tatiana, that's who.
Guys, I just want to finish with the talk here because we're hearing people.
Hey, get me that they're telling me I have to go.
You have to go?
Let me go. What?
How come I don't hear the board saying enough?
Right, right.
Yeah, board. Where's your voice today?
2 minutes.
Yeah, I wonder what, like, why, dude, imagine having this little self-awareness that you post this video where you, one, try to make it seem like you're threatened by the existence of a child, okay? And then disrupt like a parent-teachers conference or like a school board meeting, and then get upset that they're like escorting you out gently and kindly. Also lie about being grabbed, by the way, which is pretty funny too. Like, this entire video serves the exact opposite purpose of the narrative that you are trying to cultivate. Like, what part of this video was going to make you look like a hero? Is it the part where your husband made fun of a fucking kid who was like legitimately worried? Stood in front of the camera because he doesn't want his dad being doxxed and filmed and harassed endlessly?
Tatiana did nothing wrong.
I'm not filming you. Get a grip.
So look, I want to finish with a quote from Scripture because these people over here tell us that they are Christians. They tell us they're religious people. I just want to finish one thought. By their works shall you know them. By what you just saw, you see who.
Is it doxing if film someone in a public hearing? No, that's not the doxing. But the reason why the kid was standing in the fucking in front of the video was so that like she couldn't get a fucking clear footage of the dude, so that she could upload it onto her fucking conservative networks and then have people fucking retweet it, and then have people fucking go after him, and you know, agitate and aggressively fucking harass these families. Now, this happens all the time. It's just like the Karen method of fighting back against it, I guess. It happens to racist people all the time when people are caught doing racist shit. The difference there, of course, is that like this dude is not doing anything bad or wrong. It's just the people are horny to get mad at someone being like, you know, the kids should learn about critical race theory or whatever the fuck. Not even critical race theory, but just like kids should learn about America's like racial history. And he already mentioned that they did this to students. Like, they literally did this to students at another meeting, and the students are being harassed. Like, the intent of why they're filming that is so that people can fucking upload, so that people can look into their background. Oh, God. New York mom Tatiana Ibrahim talks to Greg Kelly about her motivation to voice opposition to critical race theory at her daughter's school district.
I'm well. Thank you, Greg. How are you?
Terrific. What has the reaction been like so far?
Gotten a lot of support. A lot of parents coming out, all different parts of the U.S. A lot of support from my community. Moms coming out of everywhere, children, dads. A lot of support.
You know, there was something about it. I found myself becoming almost emotional at the end, and I know a lot of other people feel the same way. Can you tell us a little bit first about your daughter? You
abolish Long Island, I think. Good way to stop this altogether. Ship it off into the sea. Put all the conservatives there, take all the liberals out, and then ship it off into the sea. I don't even want to watch the rest of this. This fucking clout goblin, dude. Jesus Christ. I don't want to give her the pleasure. Okay, so
laughable, and people should push back on this when they say this is a Republican. This is a Republican culture war that they're pushing in order to be successful in 2022. These people have not been contacted by any politician.
Yeah, dude. They just happen to be random people that we found that are like literally in like, you know, the Republican steering committee chair. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like they weren't contacted by politicians. Half of these motherfuckers are like lobbyists themselves, dog. What the fuck?
They listened to their kids. No one even talked about party. This is about country and education and indoctrination.
Scary that teachers were teaching things that we didn't agree with as parents, and we didn't know about it until the pandemic. And when you see that video, it looks like is it the school board facility, or it looks like a church? It looked like pews. It's full, packed, because parents care so much about their kids. Kids don't have a voice, and these parents say they're the union for their children.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmer.
I mean, when they say it's indoctrination, they mean like it's not the right kind of indoctrination, the kind of indoctrination that I would like to see, okay? Anyway, so these are all like efforts to try to, like, you know, change the education, which has already been changed in America time and time again. Daughters of the Confederacy have done a very, Daughters of the Confederacy literally actively works to whitewash the horrible history of the Confederacy, and they've successfully done so. This is one example of how people learn about the Civil War in Louisiana, in a fucking Louisiana 8th grade textbook. Okay? I'm not going to go through this. Chapo read parts of this, but it's so fucking psychotic. Like, here, I'll give you some of the best parts of it, okay? With more than 1,000 acres and 150 slaves, the family's future seemed secure. However, in 1861, after Louisiana's secession from the United States in January and the beginning of the Civil War in April, the lives of everyone on the Stone Plantation changed. Secession is the withdrawal of a state from the Union. Kate kept a diary and wrote about the many changes in their lives. And this is how they cover the fucking Civil War. Eventually, all 5 of Kate's brothers served in the war on the Confederate side. In 1861, Kate wrote that the oldest was wild to be off to Virginia because he feared that the fighting would be over before he can get there. However, as the war dragged on, worry about her brothers became a constant theme in her diary. Sadly, by the end of 1863, 2 of her brothers had died while serving the Confederate Army, one from pneumonia, the other from an accident. In her diary, Kate expressed her firm Confederate patriotism, insisting, "Our cause is just and must prevail." But even for a patriot, the war's hardships became difficult to take. Union forces arrived on the family's plantation in 1862. With them came a justified fear that the slaves would abandon the plantation for freedom they believed the Union Army would provide. Hey, they're just patriots. And unironically, this textbook is like imagine being a black kid in 8th grade in Louisiana, and like your fucking textbook is just like your literal property. Like the textbook is looking at this straight up from the framework of like black people are property, and it's wild that they thought that they were going to get freedom from the Union Army. Like the fear is exclusively centered around the fear that the white slave owning class in Louisiana felt, and not necessarily the fucking everyday fear and cruelty that black people were subjected to. In an attempt to limit her losses, property loss, Amanda Stone sent 120 of her slaves to Texas in 1863. She and Kate were forced to follow the slaves to Texas later that same year. I mean, here's what you could have done. Not sent your fucking slaves to Texas and instead freed them. Man, oh man, what a fucking gruesome journey. Forced to follow your humans that you own to Texas because you didn't want to give them up. In the family's absence, the few remaining slaves took over the plantation and moved into the family home, dividing the rooms and the Stones' remaining personal property among themselves. The Stone women would remain refugees, people who were forced to leave their home country. This is a textbook. Until the end of the war in 1865. Not a single mention of like black people, their point of view, how black people feel about being enslaved, being sent to fucking Texas to continue being enslaved for more years in the aftermath of slavery being officially abolished. It gets worse. They were able to reclaim their plantation, but due to emancipation, the freeing of slaves, they lost all their property and slaves. Like, up to this point, black people exclusively have been only regarded as property. Okay? The family had to face the new reality of planting and harvesting their fields with freed people who Kate regretted, now demanded high wages, aka wages. Just wages in comparison to what it was previously, which was lashes. Okay? Heartbreaking that the newly freed slaves would demand high wages. How will we go on? Kate felt ambivalent about the end of slavery, but after the war, she did her best to adjust to a world that she felt had been turned upside down. She married, raised children, and devoted herself to memorializing the service of Confederate soldiers like her brothers. She founded the Madison Parish chapter of the United Daughters of the Confederacy and remained active until her death in 1907. In this chapter, we will examine the political and cultural issues that led to sectional tensions and ultimately led Louisiana to secede from the Union. We will also learn about the wartime experiences of soldiers, politicians, civilians, and slaves. Wow, okay. We'll see. In Union-occupied areas of Louisiana and in the parts of the state that remained in Confederate hands throughout the war. Finally, we will examine the immediate consequences of the war's end. Reconstruction on Chapter 11. I don't even want to get into this, but this is not satire. Like, this is Now, you mean to tell me that this isn't literal fucking indoctrination and whitewashing of history and like any attempt to at least like instill some kind of like correct analysis on history, or at least like even cover the other side's perspective on history on such a fucking issue that is like across the board regarded as like horrifying and awful? You mean to tell me that like that is something that we got to stop immediately? That's what we got to fucking get mad at? Nichols was a member of the Democratic Party, which competed with the Republican Party for political control of the state. At the time, the Democratic Party was the conservative party, the party of the Confederacy, and that with respect to that. So they're right to cover it like that. That's normal. That's like proper history. I don't have a problem with that. By the time Nichols was elected to his second term as governor in 1888, Democrats had taken firm control of the state's political system. Southern Democrats who were committed to segregation between the races controlled the state's political system for most of the next century. So they're pro-Democrat here, for the record. The Life in Antebellum, Louisiana chapter. It's literally, look at this cool French white guy who lifted his sense of rhythm from slaves playing in the Congo Square. Anyway. So. Oh, 2 textbooks, 2 Americas. Race, gender, and immigration are some of the subjects that play out differently in classroom textbooks across the country. The California textbook includes primary source quotations with black historical figures about white resistance to civil rights during the Reconstruction. I want to see what the Texas one. A textbook in Texas above says that white Southerners oppose Reconstruction because of tax increases as well as racial resentment. Wait, there's an interactive one? On this annotated Bill of Rights, the California textbook explains that the rulings of the Second Amendment have allowed for some gun regulations. In the same place, the Texas edition of the textbook contains only a blank white space. What? The Second Amendment right to bear arms? Nothing for the Second Amendment? Brother, you don't need... Hey, no, you will not infringe on that. Okay? You fucking kidding me? Here's another example. Teenagers in both states will learn about the Harlem Renaissance and debates about the movement's impact on African-American life. But Texas students will read some of the critics dismiss the quality of literature produced. Two states, 8 textbooks, 2 American stories. We analyze some of the most popular social studies textbooks used in California and Texas. Here's how the political divides shape and what students learn about the nation's history. White resistance to black progress is covered differently in 2 states. In California, movement of some white Americans from cities to the suburbs was driven by a desire to get away from more culturally diverse neighborhoods. Others believe suburbs offered better and more affordable living. California notes suburban dream of 1950s was inaccessible to many African Americans. Texas does not. Reasons for suburban growth varied. Some people wish to escape the crime and congestion of the city. It's like little ways in which you reinforce the same social conditioning that you learn. Texas says that white Southerners oppose Reconstruction based on tax increases as well as racial resentment. California instead includes primary source quotations from black historical figures about white resistance to civil rights. Both states say that the breaches of racial etiquette led to lynchings after Reconstruction, but only California, whose edition was written more recently, makes clear that the perpetrators of the lynchings also hope to discourage black political and economic power. On gender and sexuality, California textbooks include history that is not in the Texas editions. California states that federal government failed to recognize non-binary gender identities and female leaders in its early relations with Native Americans. Texas does not mention that. Makes sense, obviously. California states that enslaved women have faced sexual violence from owners and overseers. California mentions the Lavender Scare that targeted thousands of gay men and lesbians. California states that Alfred Kinsey's research in early sex reassignment surgeries challenged the post-war ideals on gender. So this stuff is literally what people want to take out. What Republicans want to take out of the books when they say, like, CRT, we need to stop it. Like, that's what they are trying to get out of the textbooks. Both states focus on women's fight against discrimination in the workplace. Only California says birth control played a role by allowing women to exert greater control over their sexuality and family planning. California includes an excerpt from a novel about a Dominican American family. In the same place, Texas highlights the voice of a Border Patrol agent. What the fuck? California tells the story of Wong Kim Ark, whose 1898 Supreme Court case established birthright citizenship for the children of immigrants. Texas edition, which is older, does not mention the case, but does cover the Chinese Exclusion Act. At least they did that. California is critical of wealth inequality and the impact of companies like Standard Oil on the environment. Texas is more likely to celebrate free enterprise and entrepreneurs like Carnegie. Older Texas edition highlights the Republican critiques of President Barack Obama's environmental policies, while the California book discusses the threat of rising sea levels. We talk about climate change, but only from the framework of how climate change policies have destroyed free enterprise, brother. So remember, like, what these people are fucking getting mad at, okay, when they do this. They're getting mad at basically the mention of, like, California textbooks, which are brief, by the way. I wouldn't even go so far as to say that the California textbooks are, like, genuinely accommodating or provide, like, accurate analysis of everything else. So that's why I try to tell you, like, you know, be understanding of people all the time. Be understanding of people. This is, like, if this is all they know, how the fuck are they supposed to learn if they've, like, never been around any sort of diversity whatsoever, and all of that has been demonized throughout their entire lives? So that's not all, though. As far as our latest part of the journey, talking about conservative censorship, state university faculty students are going to be surveyed on beliefs, according to Governor Ron DeSantis' new suggestion. There will be budget cuts that could happen if universities and colleges are found to be indoctrinating students. Tallahassee, in his continued push against the indoctrination of students, Governor Ron DeSantis on Tuesday signed legislation that will require public universities and colleges to survey students, faculty, and staff about their beliefs and viewpoints to support intellectual diversity. The survey will discern the extent to which competing ideas and perspectives are represented in public universities and colleges and seeks to find whether students, faculty, and staff feel free to express their belief and viewpoints on campus and in the classroom. Remember, this was a big culture war talking point. That there is no intellectual diversity, that we can't have Nazis, that, like, students on campuses, like, get upset when Nazis like Milo Yiannopoulos come in and, like, literally dox trans students and shit like that. So, and make the campus a less safe space that is not good for learning for a lot of marginalized students.
Democrats.
And remember, this is what they were upset about. They fucking got so mad. That was like the big culture war talking point. When in fact, the overwhelming majority of college students were more open-minded to a free speech environment. Okay? They were way more open-minded to a free speech environment than the older generations were at the time. Empirical evidence showed that, like, this wasn't an issue. Like, people weren't saying that they don't want free speech in college campuses. But we, of course, still hyper-focused on a couple fucking random issues. Open-minded, sure thing, buddy. Dude, you have never left your apartment or your fucking mother's basement let alone go to a college. So I don't care about your fucking dumbass, like, open-minded, sure buddy take. Do you care about actual studies conducted on the matter? Or do you just want to fucking sit there because you watched a lot of YouTube videos from your favorite broadcasters that told you that it was a certain way? Okay? I've done numerous videos on the subject, so I'll just like try to find a quick study, really just and shove it down the throats of these fucking idiotic dumbasses. Okay? Yeah, here. According to a 2016 Knight Foundation survey, 78% of college students reported they favor an open learning environment that includes offensive views. Whereas, according to that same survey conducted, U.S. adult population as a whole lags behind with only 66% of adults favoring uninhibited discourse. It was literally fucking dumbass adults that... It was dumbass adults that actually had this notion and were agitated one way or the other. And this isn't the only study conducted on this matter. There were study after study after study conducted on this. There was a Gallup one too. Okay, guys? So shut the fuck up. And the only reason why you know about this is because your favorite dumbass reactionary broadcaster was doing the exact same thing that Fox News does to those boomers that you now laugh at. So be a little bit more open-minded, you fucking idiot. Especially if you found yourself here. Especially if you found yourself here, then clearly, even if you're here to fucking hate on me or whatever, you have to remember that, like, a lot of this stuff is just purely manufactured. Purely manufactured. So that you could draw battle lines. I mean, I said this when Joe Biden got elected. What did I say? I said that we are going to go back to the old school Obama-era culture war issues. Okay? Didn't I say this? I said this. And we're here. Oh, I wanted to show you guys this too.
Sure.
Here is General Mark Milley, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, on talking about critical race theory. Like, why the fuck are we doing this? I don't know, but here it is. I wanted to show you this video.
First of all, on the issue of critical race theory, et cetera, I'll obviously have to get much smarter.
I gotta pee. I'll be back.
Whatever the theory is. But I do think it's important, actually, for those of us in uniform to be open-minded and be widely read. And the United States Military Academy is a university. And it is important that we train and we understand. And I want to understand white rage, and I'm white, and I want to understand it. So what is it that caused thousands of people to assault this building and try to overturn the Constitution of the United States of America? What caused that? I want to find that out. I want to maintain an open mind here, and I do want to analyze it. It's important that we understand that because our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Guardians, they come from the American people. So it is important that the leaders, now and in the future, do understand it. I've read Mao Zedong. I've read Karl Marx. I've read Lenin. That doesn't make me a communist. So what is wrong with understanding, having some situational understanding about the country for which we are here to defend? And I personally find it offensive that we are accusing the United States military, our general officers, our commissioned, non-commissioned officers, of being, quote, woke or something else because we're studying some theories that are out there. That was started at Harvard Law School years ago. And
hey, guess what? You fucking dumbass theory nerds in the chat. Turns out you can read too much theory, okay? Turns out you can read theory and still be a fucking, you know, imperialist warmonger. Are you happy? There you go, dude. What happened, dude? Read theory, read theory, read theory, read theory. What's up, dude? He read theory. This is what happened to him.
It proposed that there were laws.
Brought his rucksack with him, dude. Look at this.
United States, antebellum laws prior to the Civil War that led to a power differential with African Americans that were 3/4 of a human being when this country was formed. And then we had a Civil War and Emancipation Proclamation to change it. And we brought it up to the Civil Rights Act in 1964. It took another 100
Do you not
years
read theory? No, I've read theory.
to change that. So look it, I do want to know. And I respect your service, and you and I are both Green Berets. But I want to know. And it matters to our military and the discipline and cohesion of this military. And I thank you for the opportunity.
If one is an imperialist warmonger, how can they know if they're an imperialist warmonger asking for a friend? There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with reading theory. I just get like annoyed because there are like weirdo theory weaves that like will routinely be like, no, it's the magic bullet. Well, there you go. Anyway, let's move on. Senate Republicans are blocking the debate on the sweeping voting rights bill, obviously.
Say they will continue the fight over voting rights after Senate Republicans blocked their sweeping reform bill. A move to begin debate on the so-called For the People Act failed last night in a 50-50 party line vote. 60 votes were needed. Our Nancy Cordes is at the White House for us. Nancy, good morning to you. What does the Biden administration plan to do now?
Well, Tony, the president announced that he's going to have more to say next week. But beyond that, there doesn't appear to be much of a plan, which is a reflection, frankly, of how few options Democrats have on this issue in a debate.
So one thing that really frustrates me is that, like, we fucking gave up. All right. So the voting rights bill, you can't fucking tie to a pure majority bill. Obviously, you can't do a budget reconciliation for the fucking voting rights bill, right? Obviously, you can't do that. You can't. I'm sorry. Like, that's it. Like, I don't give a fuck about the symbolism of the Senate or anything, but like, that would be very difficult to tie into the budget. Okay, it has to, at the very least, like, impact the economy. Okay, you're not gonna be able to do that with, if you can't say that for $15 minimum wage, which you absolutely could. You're absolutely not going to do that for this situation. Now, there is one thing you can do, though. Okay? There's one thing you can do. Like, you're not going to be able to abolish the filibuster either, because they don't fucking care, and they do not want to abolish the filibuster. The Democrats don't. Like, we're hearing Kirsten Sinema and Joe Manchin be like, no, if we abolish the filibuster, how the fuck will I do my own personal branding project in the Senate? So there's that problem. But there is something you can do that Joe Manchin brought up, actually. I mean, I fucking hate Joe Manchin. I hate Joe Manchin. But even Joe Manchin believes that you can, at the very least, make filibuster harder to filibust. That you can't just simply state that, guys, you have to stop. It's 12:32. I'm not going to fucking run an ad. You're being so annoying right now. Holy shit, dude. Budget reconciliation is defined in statute, not Senate rules. Yes, but you can. So what? Senate breaking those rules would land the bill in legal trouble? Shut the fuck up, dude. What are you talking about? You can't. That's why I'm saying that you can't do this for any bill, but you can absolutely do it for adding the $15 minimum wage, which, regardless of what the fucking Senate parliamentarians' opinion is, which can be changed, can still legally be added on, or could have been added on to that previous proposal, the recovery bill. So you're wrong on that front. I'm agreeing with you, you himbo. Oh, okay. So what I was gonna say is you can do certain things, which is to punish people that want to filibust, okay? If you want to do a filibuster, you have to be there. You can't just threaten with a filibuster and don't not even fucking show up. Like, you should be there, dude. you should actually have to, if you want to do a filibuster, you have to fucking stand on the Senate floor and talk the entire time. It's fucking bullshit that we don't do this. You have to debate. You have to be there. That's the only way that you should be able to do that. Put a goddamn catheter up your pee hole, okay? I don't give a shit. Wear a colostomy bag. And get your geriatric, fatless ass up on that goddamn stage and speak for as long as you want to do it. And I do think that it's bullshit we won't do this. If we're not going to be able to abolish the filibuster, which we're not going to be able to do, like it's just not going to happen, then we absolutely should, at the very least, do what Joe Manchin suggested, which was make the filibuster punishing. And this is like something that Joe Manchin said he would be willing to do. And we're not even talking about that anymore. That is, of course, we have to do that. And then, only then could we, at the very least, like, punish Republicans and have them literally defend their positions for hours on end if they do want to stop the American people from, I don't know, getting some sort of federal regulation over who gets to vote and who doesn't get to vote.
Divided Senate.
The fight is not over.
Vice President Kamala Harris presided over the Senate during her party's failed attempt to advance a voting rights bill.
The motion is not agreed to.
Every Democrat voted yes, but it was not enough to overcome a Republican filibuster.
This vote, I'm ashamed to say, is further evidence that voter suppression has become part of the official platform of the Republican Party.
The For the People
Act, it always was that. It always was that, and it always will be that.
Would have expanded early voting and same-day voting registration, ended partisan gerrymandering, and increased federal funding for election security. Republicans argued the measure was too broad and would have diminished the power that states and local governments have over elections.
The bill that we have in front of us is not so much about voting rights as it is a federal takeover of the election system.
The push for a federal voting rights law comes.
Yeah, which is good and should have happened. What the fuck? And like, it wouldn't be necessary if Republicans weren't such sick fucks. Or the Democrats back in the day weren't such fucking sick freaks that they literally did everything in their power to maintain like the segregated hierarchy of power that they have. And to refuse to give even a little bit of a fucking say to black and brown people living in these different parts of the country. Like, they're just, it's the same old bullshit.
Comes as Republicans in.
Guys, I'll talk about John McAfee in a second. Like, I don't care, okay? I'm sorry, boys. I do not care about John McAfee committing suicide or being murdered in prison. He probably did fucking commit suicide because I don't think anyone gives a shit enough to, like, murder him. Let's be real. Okay? If he actually was killed or did commit suicide, I don't care.
48 state legislatures have introduced 389 bills this year alone to restrict voting access. The White House is rejecting criticism from some Democrats who say the president hasn't been vocal enough.
Those words are a fight against the wrong opponent.
President Biden has tapped his vice president to lead the White House effort on this issue.
This is about the American people's right to vote, unfettered. It is about their access to the right to vote in a meaningful way.
One small victory for Democrats. The entire party held together on this.
Oh, man, what a small victory. To lose, like, this is so pathetic. And it's perfect, by the way.
Also in Washington.
I don't even care about Biden's plan to tackle gun violence. Like, it's just not going to happen. Okay. The hilarious part about this is, like, Democrats are going, like, we won, we won. It's like, why did we win? Oh, because we lost, but we lost together, dude. That's great. Please be careful today if you plan on listening to the audio of Britney Spears' court hearing. You are not permitted to record or broadcast the audio. Wait, really? Oh, oops. Well, I guess I'm not watching the conservatory hearings.
Wrote an open letter to leaders of Muslim states asking them to unite against Islamophobia, particularly in the West. Why did you feel the need to write that public letter?
The problem is there's this big communication gap between the Islamic world and the Western societies. It happened after 9/11, when the word Islamic terrorism came into currency. The moment you say Islamic terrorism, the man in the street in the West thinks that there's something in Islam which leads to terrorism, or Islam causes radicalism. After 9/11, any time some terrorist act went on where a Muslim was involved, the entire 1.3 billion Muslims started becoming targets.
Just across your border in Western China, the Chinese government has imprisoned more than 1 million Uyghur Muslims.
He's like, good point about the reactionary point of view being launched in the Western world. Instead of talking about that, let's go back to what's going on in China. It is Imran Khan, the Pakistani PM, who is 1,000% not going to criticize China. There's no shot. No fucking shot. Let's see what he says.
In re-education camps. The Chinese government has tortured Muslims, forcibly sterilized them, and they've destroyed mosques in Xinjiang and also punished Muslims for fasting, praying, even giving Muslim names to their children. Prime Minister, why are you so outspoken about Islamophobia in Europe and the United States, but totally silent about the genocide of Muslims in Western China?
What our conversations have been with the Chinese, this is not the case, according to them.
The evidence is just overwhelming.
Whatever.
Damn. He didn't even fucking deflect. He literally just said, that's crazy.
Issues we have with the Chinese, we speak to them behind closed doors. China has been one of the greatest friends to us in our most difficult times. When we were really struggling, our economy was struggling, China came to our rescue. So we respect the way they are. And whatever issues we have, we speak behind closed doors.
I think a more honest answer is like, why don't people just say this, what I'm about to say? What do you want me to do? Like, why doesn't he just literally say, what do you want me to do? America's not even doing anything about it. They just bring it up as a talking point, and they're not even doing anything about it. What do you want me to fucking denounce it so that we can't be an effective trade partner with China? We don't have the kind of power that America has, and even America's not fucking stopping their trade from China for that respect. But China can easily turn around and be like, yeah, we're not gonna partner up with you anymore, Pakistan. You know what I mean? That's what more people should say, actually. Just like, yeah, what can we do? Do you have suggestions? Jonathan Swan of Axios News? If they come back with a good point, you would look incompetent. But like, there is no good point there. There's nothing you can do. Just like, even when I talk about like American imperialism and the death and destruction that America either funds or supports or engages in, as an American citizen, I can't fucking stop this country. And I get pushback from my own countrymen on this issue. Like, Chinese motherfuckers don't have that right, even. Like, they don't have that kind of liberty to be able to be like, hold up, yo, CCP, y'all gotta stop this, okay? You gotta stop doing this cultural genocide shit. I mean, seriously. Work camps, round-the-clock surveillance of 10 million people that you have considered to be, like, extremist, separatist terrorists. Not good. Like, what are you gonna do? They can't do anything. The Chinese people can't do anything. What the fuck is Pakistan going to do? Which is why a lot of these world leaders in Muslim countries, with I guess the notable exception of like, I guess the notable exception of like Erdogan from time to time, rarely ever speak out against it, and in many instances will literally run defense for China. I think that's the worst part. The worst part about this conversation is that like they end up running defense for China.
This is such a big issue in the Western world. Why are the people of Kashmir ignored? It is much more relevant. Compared to what might be going in the Uyghurs, 100,000 Kashmiris have been killed.
Yeah, he's trying to talk about Kashmir and what like the fascist Indian government is doing in Kashmir to a predominantly Muslim population. Forced expulsions, murder, kidnapping of politicians in the region. And like, and in that conversation, if you were like turning it around and being like, hey, well, what about Chinese, what about what's going on in Chinese work camps and shit like that? You're like, okay, you're saying Kashmir wrong. Just use the whitewash pronunciation. Kashmir. Both are bad. Motherfucker, he's the prime minister of Pakistan. What do you mean, dude? Both are bad. To him, this is a very important issue. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Yeah, no shit, both are bad. What the fuck do you mean? Yeah, both are bad. But you're not making like a profound fucking statement here. You're not expressing something that is unique here. The Chinese national government is over 90 to 95% approval rating with its citizens according to Western pollsters. Not sure if you're aware of that. No, I know that the Chinese the Chinese nation loves its government for the most part. No, I think that the Chinese government has like I think wait, by the way, boys, for the record, I do think that the Chinese government is like pretty fucking popular amongst its own citizens. Like I don't think that that's like, maybe not to the degree that it's like 95%, but it's certainly more popular than say you love it or your family dies. No, I think this is a cultural difference that is difficult for people to discern, especially in Western civilization. Western societies do not understand it. First and foremost, it doesn't fucking matter if like the Chinese citizenry enjoy the Chinese government's actions or like it or have a high approval rating. Like if you ask the fucking Uyghurs living in the region that are being oppressed and their culture being fucking removed, then yeah, those guys are not super fond of China, obviously. Not the Muslim citizens. See, that's where tankies will fucking own you and say that's not even true. It's just the separatist Muslims in East Turkestan or Xinjiang. So those are the people that China is targeting. You can still practice Islam in other parts of China and be from a different ethnic background and be Muslim, and literally fucking tankies will point that out routinely. Yeah, see, there you go. The place where they're building more mosques. Yeah, dude. Anyway, so the point I was going to make is that like roommate in college came from an hour outside of Shanghai, pretty much said he had no idea people viewed China negatively until he moved here. Yeah, the point people don't understand is like in a lot of these countries, like in China, for example, there is an understanding that your government will take care of you as long as you fucking keep your head down. Okay? Not criticize it too much, not rock the boat too much, but there's like a cultural cohesion that, you know, everyone's going to do all right. The government's going to do right by you as best as they possibly can. As long as you, you know, keep your fucking head down and don't think about it too much. And that's part of the reason why they have that mentality. And by the way, the government does do right by a lot of people to the best of their ability. So I understand why. People have faith in their government with respect to that. Just like, I'm Han Chinese, I don't really give a shit. You know, the government's like literally building fucking high-speed rail everywhere. As long as I don't, you know, as long as I'm not like thinking too hard about it, and you know, trying to be contrarian for the sake of being contrarian, or trying to be contrarian for obvious reasons like the lack of free speech, or like all of the control that the government has over my life, then it doesn't matter. It's like, it literally just talk to fucking, yeah, beliefful Adrian Zen shit. Man, shut up. God, China boos are so fucking weird, dude. You're just a Cinnaboo, okay? Like, you are a weeb for the CCP. Like, you have to understand that you can be critical of the actions of another giant hegemonic power in its endless conquest to also become the hegemonic global superpower against the United States of America. Okay? Fuck. I'm not going to abandon my fucking principles and my belief system and devalue every fucking criticism I have against America when China's doing it and it's considered like a balancing counterweight to American imperialism. Shut up. Anyway. Phileas on, don't you know nothing bad can ever happen under communism? It's like the people are still evil or something like that. Well, first of all, like, saying that China is communist is kind of wild. We're saying the foundations of you saying the citizens have no say is empirically false. It's not just 5 dudes waving a hand. No, I think the citizens don't have any say beyond like straight up rebellion. If the government was too authoritarian, that's the power dynamic in authoritarian countries. If the delicate balance of authoritarianism while also simultaneously uplifting certain parts of the country if the balance fell out in favor of the authoritarianism over uplifting certain parts of the country, then there would be a rebellion. And that's the way that things happen on that side of the world. Okay? Anyway. The issue with the Chinese government is that they're oblivious at the top of the hour. Oh, fuck you, dude. I shouldn't have read that. I was going to do it on my own. Yeah, it's top of the fucking hour. That's the issue with the Chinese government, okay? And they refuse to recognize it. My endless thirst for reading chatter takes fucking ruined it. And if you'd like to no longer see the ads, well then, all you need to do is subscribe. You can do it for $5 or for free. By connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, you get 1 free Prime subscription a month. Okay? With a Twitch Prime, that is. And here's the ad break now. God damn it. Okay. Here it is.
There are 800,000 Indian troops which have literally, it's an open prison in Kashmir. 9 million Kashmiris are put there. Why is that not an issue? So I think it's hypocrisy.
They've been a huge partner to you, China, but on some level, doesn't it make you feel sick to have to be quiet because of all this money they're putting into